My hands were still shaking a little as I put my phone down after that call with my mom. I just stood there in my living room, looking out the window at the city lights, feeling this knot in my gut tighten with every breath. 2 years she'd been living under my roof, and she'd been building up to this. The mental health excuse, the slow motion house sale, my dad's complete reliance on her for finances, it all clicked into place. She wasn't sick, she was setting up her escape, and my place was just a convenient pit stop. I felt like an idiot. How did I not see it? All the little signs, the way she'd sometimes clam up when my dad called, her vague answers about their house, the way she'd brush off any talk about him moving to the city. I just chalked it up to her being stressed, getting older. I thought I was being a good son, helping out my aging mother. Turns out I was just a pawn in her long game chess match. This was where the RECG pattern recognition through experience started kicking in. Though I didn't have a label for it then, I was seeing inconsistencies between words and actions over time, and it felt like a punch to the gut. The first thing I did after she left was call my dad. I knew I had to get to him before she did. He's a simple man. My dad works hard, always has, never paid much attention to anything beyond his work and his family. He trusted her implicitly with everything. That's his biggest weakness, that trust, and it's something I always tried to warn him about when it came to business partners. Never thought it would apply to his own wife. "Hey, Dad," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. It was almost 9 p.m. where he was, still a couple of hours behind me. "Sonum, good to hear from ya. Everything all right?" He sounded tired, like he always did after a long day at the business. "No, Dad, not really. Something came up, something important you need to hear from me first." There was a pause, a long one. I could almost hear him shifting in his chair. "What is it?" "Son, is your mom okay?" "She's fine, Dad. Physically, at least, but she just told me she's leaving you. She's been having an affair with a longtime friend of hers, and she's flying over to tell you." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. It stretched for what felt like an eternity. Thick and heavy, I could hear his breathing, shallow and quick. Then, a low, guttural sound, like a wounded animal. "No, no, she wouldn't do that." His voice was barely a whisper. "Dad, I just kicked her out of my apartment. She told me herself, not even an hour ago." He started to ramble then, about how much he loved her, how they'd built everything together, how he didn't understand. I let him talk, just listened. My own anger was simmering, but I knew I had to put that aside for him. He was a broken man in that moment. This was the provider-protector role complications kicking in. I felt this intense urge to shield him, to fix it, even though I couldn't. My dad, the man who taught me how to change a tire, how to throw a punch, how to stand on my own 2 feet, was crumbling. "Dad," I cut in gently when he finally paused for breath. "You need to listen to me. This isn't your fault, and you need to protect yourself. She handles all the finances, right?" "Yeah, always has. She's good with numbers, I know, but you need to get to the bank first thing tomorrow. Get copies of everything, all the business accounts, personal accounts, retirement funds, everything. Talk to a lawyer. Do it before she gets there and starts moving money around." This was my self-preservation without apology instinct kicking in, not just for me, but for him. I valued his long-term stability and respect over her temporary peace. He was still in shock, but I could hear a flicker of something, a spark of the pragmatism he always had. "A lawyer? Son, are you sure?" "Dad, she just admitted to an affair and is planning to dump you and likely take half your life's work." "You damn right, I'm sure. You need to protect yourself, your business, everything you've built." He finally agreed, sounding resigned. I told him I'd call him in the morning to make sure he followed through. It was a hell of a conversation to have with your old man, basically telling him his wife of 4 decades was a snake. But it had to be done. After that, I just paced. My apartment suddenly felt too small. The idea that she'd been in my space, eating my food, acting like the doting mother while planning this betrayal, it was infuriating. I called my buddy, Mark. Mark's been divorced twice, so he's got a cynical, but usually accurate, view of women and relationships. He's the kind of guy who calls it like it is. No bullshit. Which is exactly what I needed. "Dude, you will not believe the shit show I just walked into." I started, and then I laid it all out. Every detail. Mark listened, quiet for a bit. Then, Jesus Christ. "Man, your old lady is cold-blooded. Kicking her out was the right move. Zero sympathy for cheaters, especially when they're pulling that kind of manipulative crap. Yeah, but I still feel like shit. You know, she's almost 70. No real support system here. That's her problem, not yours. You didn't tell her to cheat on your dad. She made her bed. Now she gets to lie in it, probably with her new boyfriend. And trust me, that longtime friend shit, that ain't new. She's been laying the groundwork for this for a while. They always have. They don't just fall into affairs with a longtime friend overnight. That's a backburner dude who just got promoted to main squeeze. This was exactly the kind of male friendship dynamics during relationship stress I needed. No sugarcoating, just raw, honest perspective from someone who'd seen it all. He was right. I knew he was right. My mom had always been a particular kind of woman, high maintenance, always needing attention, always feeling like she was owed something. My dad, in his quiet way, always tried to provide, to make her happy, and he never complained. He just put his head down and worked. She always said he didn't communicate, but the truth was, she never really listened either. She heard what she wanted to hear, and anything else was just static. The next morning, I called my dad again. He sounded clearer, though still fragile. He'd gone to the bank, gotten some of the records. He even called a lawyer, a guy he knew from his business. Thankfully, he was taking action, which was a relief. That was the decision-making under pressure I knew he had in him. It just took a bomb like this to ignite it. She called, he said, his voice flat. Said I was being unfair, that I was twisting things. Said you put me up to it. Of course she did. Dad, that's how they work. She wants you to feel guilty, to think you're the bad guy. Don't fall for it. I knew this was coming. The accountability avoidant antagonist playbook. Refuse personal accountability. Everything is always someone else's fault. She said she was setting boundaries with me by leaving. He scoffed. Said I was toxic for questioning her happiness. I just shook my head, even though he couldn't see me. Therapy speak to justify selfish behavior. Dad, don't buy it. She's weaponizing mental health terminology because she's facing consequences. Just stick to the plan with the lawyer. Protect yourself. This was the real refuses emotional artifice language coming out of me, calling situations exactly what they are without softening or sugarcoating. The next few weeks were a blur of phone calls with my dad, getting updates. My mom, predictably, was trying to make herself the victim. She called me a few times, trying to guilt trip me. I can't believe my own son would abandon me. She'd wail, "You're supposed to support me, not judge me. I told you I don't support cheating." Mom, I'd say, flatly, "And I'm not judging you. I'm reacting to your choices. Your choices have consequences." She even tried the classic gaslighting line. "I never said that I was leaving your dad for good. You're misremembering." "No, Mom, I'm not. You told me word for word. I'm not a fucking idiot." The authentic cursing integration felt necessary. This wasn't a pleasant conversation. It was a battle. She quickly realized I wasn't going to play her game. She moved in with her longtime friend, who, as Mark predicted, turned out to be a guy she'd known since high school, apparently always had a thing for, and had reconnected with online a few months before she even moved to my city. It wasn't just a month-long affair. This had been brewing, simmering on the back burner, for years. My gut was right again. The public versus private relationship reality became apparent too. My mom, always so charming and put together in public, would turn into a manipulative, self-absorbed monster behind closed doors. She'd always managed to maintain this perfect facade for her social circle, but now, with the divorce news spreading, people were starting to talk. She was trying to spin it. Naturally, as a mutual separation, a new chapter. But my dad's lawyer was making sure the truth about the affair came out as part of the divorce proceedings. It wasn't about revenge. It was about protecting my dad's assets. The impact on my dad was rough. He lost weight, looked haggard. His work suffered a bit, too, which was hard for him because his business was his life. This was the physical health impact of relationship stress playing out in real time. Seeing him go through that, knowing my mom was the cause, solidified my stance even more. The divorce wasn't pretty. My mom, true to form, tried to take my dad to the cleaners. She demanded more than half of everything, claiming emotional distress and years of unpaid labor in their business. My dad's lawyer, thankfully, was a bulldog. He brought up the affair, her admitted plans, and the financial records she tried to hide. It turned into a nasty fight over money, which surprised no one who actually knew her. Ultimately, she got less than she wanted, which, honestly, felt like a small victory. The judge clearly saw through her act. She lost some friends, too, people who had known my parents for years and couldn't stomach her actions. They saw the public performance versus the private reality, and it wasn't pretty. This was the natural consequences framework at work. Her social circle recognized her manipulation. Her professional reputation, what little she had outside of my dad's business, was damaged. and she faced financial consequences for her entitled attitude. My dad is slowly, very slowly, putting his life back together. He's taking a financial literacy class, learning how to manage his own money. It's tough for him, but he's doing it. He's spending more time with his old buddies, playing cards, fishing. He even started volunteering at a local charity. He's figuring out how to be independent, which is something I never thought I'd see. He's found some clarity through emotional distance, seeing the relationship patterns more clearly with time and space. He understands now how some of his own beliefs were programmed, not authentically as for me. I learned a hard lesson. Never ignore your gut feeling, even when it's about family. Being a good son doesn't mean being a doormat or enabling bad behavior. It means standing up for what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. And sometimes, the toughest decisions are the only ones that lead to real growth. I've had to trust recalibration process for future relationships, learning from my mistakes without becoming cynical. I'm identifying the red flags I missed and building better screening processes. I still talk to my dad regularly. My mom, our conversations are short, mostly logistical. She still tries to play the victim sometimes, but I just shut it down. I don't owe her anything more than the truth. And she got that when I kicked her out. The whole thing left me with a bitter taste, but also a new sense of resolve. You can't save people who don't want to be saved, and you sure as hell can't make someone accountable if they refuse to be. All you can do is protect yourself, protect the people who actually matter, and move forward. And that's exactly what I'm doing.